Okay, we're recording. We're recording. Hello, 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 Laura.
Hello, Mark.
Very,
How are you?
I'm very well, and I'm really excited to meet you and talk to you about
Thank you
what
very
you're up
much.
to.
Yeah, it's been
Um,
busy.
well, I was amazed you got back to me. I thought there's no way. I'll try it. I'll ask her anyway. You know, she can only say no. But I thought you'd be super, super busy. I mean, this must have. Let's just explain to anybody that's not watching this. Can you explain what you've been doing, why you're doing it, so anybody who's never heard of you, hopefully there's a few more people that will know about what you're doing. If you can, you'll explain it better than me.
Yeah, of course, absolutely, of course I can. So, about 6 or 7 weeks ago, I got involved with a movement called Freedom for the Children, and this was to arrange global peaceful rallies to raise awareness for child exploitation, child trafficking, and just the crimes of human trafficking, and it's like the largest criminal enterprise, or the largest growing criminal enterprise, soon to overtake drugs, I think it is. So it's this huge problem that nobody's talking about, and obviously there's a lot of children suffering, a lot of children left vulnerable. So as a movement, we were just like, we've had enough, like something's got to change, somebody's got to start talking about this stuff and bringing it into the public eye, because people don't realize it's a problem. They actually don't, like people are still misguidingly believing that if it's not in the news, it's not a thing, which is, that's the news doing us a incredible disservice and dishonor, really, because they're people trusting them to share a message with them and, unbiasedly report what's happening in the world, and they're not, so it's down to us as individuals that know about these crimes and know the extent of which they're hurting people and children, to bring it into the public eye and raise awareness. So that's what I've been heavily involved with. It was like nothing 6 weeks ago. I know now we're mainly just in the UK. It did start off as a global thing, but by the looks of it, it was only really the UK that made a huge impact and has created like lots of committed people that want to make a difference. So we're just going to keep going. We started with one location in London. We've now got about 20. So, there's a lot of people out there that want to stand up for this and want to make a difference. And what I'm learning is that people just need to feel safe to do that and step forward and be supported and know that they're not by themselves, that safety in numbers. And there's just so many people stepping forward and wanting to help. And like you said, you tried to message me, and you messaged me because you wanted me to share my story. Like everybody's messaging, everybody wants to contribute. So it's really growing really quickly, and I'm really proud of what we're doing here at the moment. So that's a bit about what I've been doing. I just had a normal life a few weeks ago, and now I'm doing this. So
well, nothing's ever going to be the same again. But when I saw you walking through London on Facebook, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was in tears. It was just amazing to see people standing outside that institution and shouting those words that I saw. And I was like, I've been waiting for this for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people know what's going on. They know they're being lied to on a massive scale. And it's, people are hurt. People want to stand up for what's right. And people have suppressed their truth and their safety to feel be able to express themselves for so long, that now it's just getting to a point where people can't do it. It's like a pressure cooker. That's how it feels, is that we've just kind of been in this situation for so long, which is divinely perfect, because that's what you need to move. Like each individual person needs to be either so uncomfortable where they're at, or feel so much cognitive dissonance where they're at, that they're forced to make a stand and make a difference. And that's what we're living in right now, is this like pressure cooker. And you can either try and ignore it, or you can actually respond to what it's asking you to do, which is step forward and be yourself and speak your truth and do what you're put on this planet to do. Like, we are not here to work 9 to 5, to pretend to be somebody else so that we can get a job we don't like, to worry about all these trivial things when there's human beings being sold their organs being harvested. They are just literally left to these monsters to do whatever they want to them. And that's happening right now on our planet. We're meant to be a civilized society. And so when you put it in those contexts, like, all the other stuff's trivial. Like in the eons of time, when people look back on these moments, what, you know, you can either say you're a part of it and you used your voice to make a difference, and you stood up for the people that couldn't stand up for themselves right now, or you can say, oh, I tried to carry on about my normal life and, you know, just worry about paying my bills and stuff, you know, which I know we're purposely put in that situation so we don't worry about these things. But, you know, ultimately in the grand scheme of things, like, there is far more important things that we're put on this planet to do, and this is one of them.
Totally agree. It's interesting what you said about, you know, almost everybody I've ever met in my life has been touched by paedophilia in some way.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
I was molested. My dad was worse than molested. My mum was molested. And loads of people that I've met over the years. And it's just unbelievable how, even in my own life, it was like, you know, that was parked in a box. And, you know, when my dad died 30 years ago, but before his mother, my nan, died, I said to her, why didn't you tell anybody? Why didn't you do anything about this? This was in the 1950s, right? And she said, we were just too scared.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it really hit home. And then, and then stuff that I'd forgotten about came up. And I started, you know, I really got involved. I got involved with a campaign online to do with a paedophile ring in Manchester. And I met abuse victims who'd not told anybody in 70 years or 60 years, you know, what had happened to them. And it was horrific. And I sat and listened to their testimonies. And this was about 8, 9, 10 years ago. And it's just extraordinary how, I think, you know, the way that they've controlled this as well, by putting up stories about paedophilia that in a way that makes you think, well, it's just a few weird blokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
exactly right.
And when I started really looking into it, and I looked into, have you heard of Kevin Arnott in Canada with the Canadian indigenous tribes? Loads of
No, I haven't. No.
He's tried to put the Queen and Prince Philip up in a common court because 16 kids disappeared in a forest.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
66. You know, I started posting about all that stuff quite a long time ago, and people just thought I was a nutter, and they just refused. Because when you say 300 kids in the UK per day, 1 kid in the US every 22 seconds. When you start 8 million kids a year, at least 1 billion kids since the Second World War. When you put those figures, they can't compute it.
Yeah, they
just can't compute it. And yet you look at the BBC and you look at Jimmy Savile, right? I was thinking about him this morning, maybe because I don't like thinking about him, but, you know, no. I did think about him. And all of those celebrities that were thrown under the bus, like Rolf Harris and Stuart Hall, and then you realise the whole place was infested. All the time, and right in our faces.
Yeah,
and hidden in plain sight. Once you understand that concept that they have, we hide everything in plain sight.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so you feel like, as somebody who, you know, my own personal journey, somebody who's been like a mini campaigner, you know, trying to get awareness of the problem, the size of the problem, which then takes you down the rabbit holes with SRA and the industrialization of this whole thing. And then, but to see what's happened, the best thing about this lockdown, the best thing has been you and the Freedom for the Children movement out on the streets, talking about it in the public, seeing things like Wayfair and Walmart being exposed and Evergreen, and all of these things it's unstoppable. Don't you think now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you know, speaking the truth is so much more powerful than deception and lie. That's another thing that people have to remember as well. This illusion that they are trying to put on us, this reality they're trying to put on us, actually goes against our natural flow and our natural truth. So it actually requires a lot of energy to hold it there. It actually requires a lot of investment for people to believe it, because it's going against our natural grain. So it only takes a few. It only takes a few to begin with, because the truth is so much more powerful, and it allows other people to go, oh, okay, I can do that.
Courage.
I can do that too. And the vibration of truth, the vibration of love, and the vibration of unity is our natural vibration. It's how we're meant to exist. It is the truest thing about us. It's the thing that we have to remember. It doesn't require effort to exist there. It just is. You just are. It's just the way it is. So actually, yeah, it's very, very easy to create this momentum that doesn't require loads of people. It just requires, because the energy that's exuded by those people when they step into that truth is so much more powerful. It's like the equivalent of 100 people trying to keep the lie.
Yeah.
One person speaking the truth will have that will have the equivalent sort of effect on the positive vibration of the planet as well. And it's snowballing. I like to reference it. It's like a wave, basically, and it's kind of ebbing and flowing at the moment. It's kind of keeps going up to that peak and then back down. And each time it does that, more people join and more energy is put into this. And eventually it's just going to get to the point where it's no longer to do with us. It's no longer to do with who keeps adding. It is just the momentum of truth and love and light. And it's just going to absolutely flatten everything that isn't that, basically, because it's the truth. And that is the remembrance of it as well. So we're kind of in that ebbing and flowing process where it kind of is like peaking and then dropping a little bit and peaking, and eventually it's just going to get to a peak one time and it's just going to crash. It's just going to be a tsunami over everything. And it's really exciting to be a part of that. It really is. Like, this is a huge movement. Like, people really need to understand how important right now is, because you're being told to worry about trivial things. And there's a war going on. We are actually at war. Just because there's nobody being on a battlefield somewhere else. Like, the battlefield is right here. It's in our minds. It's in what the information that we're receiving. And people are dying because of what's happening. People are going down a lot. There are a lot of casualties that are being suffered right now because we are staying silent about what we're doing. And when you start kind of, that's how it is in my mind. Like, that's how serious it is in my mind, that this is like, this has to be like an organized unit of how we go about this, because they're an organized unit. They're very organized. They've got this, they've had this plan for years, and every single minute detail has gone into the equation. That's why, you're getting the normalization of paedophilia, how the papers don't report on it, how it's just kind of brushed under the carpet, how when people are victims of it, it doesn't go anywhere. All this is to try and get them what they want. So we need to treat it in exactly the same way, in that it's like a military operation of love, essentially. We're not going into battle to try and kill people. We're going into battle to save the planet and save humanity and stand up and be a light for those people that can't be right now. And this is a war. It is the war that's going to end all wars, 100%. And I just think everyone, why would you want to sit on the sidelines for that? Why would you want to watch that go down?
Yeah. I told you my cat was on the table.
He liked what I said. That's all right. He was getting behind me. You go, cat.
It's the boy cat.
Comes to see right on.
Cat. Wait, fuck her off.
That's it. A rallying the troops there. You see that?
Anyway, she agrees.
Like, go on, sister.
She wants to know where to get a t-shirt from.
Yeah.
So, I've always thought that the one thing, but this pandemic and everything, I knew it was coming. I've known about the New World Order, blah, 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 for years. When it came, it still freaked me out. But I was thinking, all this divide, race, politics, etc., etc. The only thing that's going to bring people together is that, hey, look, they used to do this on Swap Shop in the 70s. You have to deal with it. You have to deal with animals, right? She's too nice. You can't throw her out. Why are you get out?
Right, she wants to get involved. She's got something very important to say, and you're silencing her, Mark.
Okay? She feels the energy. The unification of, you said unity, right? So bringing the one thing that the human race, nobody in the human race can disagree with, is this subject. It's just getting them to the point where they can see how bad it really is. Yeah.
And I think also, I mean, I've said this so many times, this isn't a logical fight. If it was logical and statistics worked, everyone would be like, oh, right, you only got to hear that number once to start them doing something bad. But this is about emotion, this is about beliefs, and this is about people hearing those numbers, but it not being on their doorstep. You know, as long as it's in somebody else's garden, it's not going to affect me. But this is part of what's going on right now. with the COVID and with the pandemic is to, like, you can see it as like the world falling apart if you want, or you can see it as an actual device that's going to wake people up. You can see it as this pressure cooker, because the more this happens, people are starting to realize they can't escape it. I can't just be safe in my little bubble and let everyone else deal with it. I've got to start taking action as well, because it's actually directly affecting me. But I mean, all of this is a process and a journey, because we're moving people from this individualized, segregated plane of thinking that, like, you know, if that's happening over there, it's not my problem. When in reality, if a problem exists in humanity, it is our problem. These are collective wounds that we all need to.
The cat.
These are collective wounds that we all need to heal together. You know, there is no I can just be safe, because we're a unified field. At the end of the day, you know, what we are taking and giving is affecting everything else on this planet. I mean, like, I know people struggle to understand that, but like, there's nothing that is a closed system. I mean, that's how bonkers it is when people say we're not connected, that you cannot exist without having an effect or an influence by something else around you. It does not exist in the universe. There is no closed system. There is always an input and output, and there always is an effect and an influence. And that's essentially what it is, whether you want to believe it's on a metaphysical level or whatever, but that is the case. So the more that we can understand that, like, there isn't just you done, mate? I'm recording.
Sorry, mate. Are you too? You're
I've got a distraction too here. She's just putting around plastic bags. The more that we can understand that these aren't just your. Here she comes.
Meow. Hello.
That's my annoying pet. Meowing, and I'm doing something. The more that we can recognise that there isn't just you and I and that thing over there, that it is us, it is we, it is ours. So if a problem exists on our planet or is affecting humanity, it is our problem. That is what we are here to do. We're here to protect each other. We're here to stand together as well and be united. And I think a topic like this, when we can really reach into people's hearts and help them understand that they are being called to do something, that they're being called to take action, that their souls are pleading with them to step forward, they will realize that this problem can and will unify us. Because it's always been said, like, we'll never be unified until there's like an attack from like an alien or something, which won't ever happen, because why would they attack us?
It's already happened.
Pardon?
It's already happened.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, they've been attacking us for years.
Well, the Draconians have, but I mean, like, other things wanting to come in. Plenty that are wanting to help us. But my point is, more than anything, is it's always been said there's got to be this outside force that's going to be humans against that. And this is really where we're at, because it even though it's existing on our planet, we can all connect to and understand what it would be like to have a kid in those situations. Like, because we've all got children in our lives in some way, you know, we've either got nieces or kids, or we've got friends that have got kids. And like, I know it's uncomfortable and it makes people feel really, really uncomfortable, but if people have got to start connecting to this problem and almost like thinking, right, well, what would I do if my nieces were in that situation? Would I want someone to fight for them? Of course I would. I'd do whatever I could. And just because it's not happening directly to me and my family does not mean I won't stand up for somebody who it is happening to, because that level of pain, like, I can't, it like tears me up when I think about what's happening to those kids and nobody's there for them. You know, like, and it really, like, and we're not talking like, I mean, like 12, 13-year-olds is bad enough, it's horrific, but we're talking young.
Yeah.
We're talking, you know, like 2, 3 babies.
I know.
You know?
It's beyond
and
them.
like, and just to think of them alone in those situations, just exposed, and it just happening over and over and over again. Like, it is shit, but it isn't going to get any less shit not realizing that it's horrific. You know, like, we kind of live in this country where people feel it's okay to like stick their head in the sand because it's uncomfortable to feel about something, and it's like, well, those kids don't get to do that.
No,
they don't get to go, no, I don't want to deal with this today. They're there, they're in it, and it is happening, you know. And if anything is going to wake people up and get them to rally together, it's got to be this. What else is more important?
Nothing.
Like, I don't know what else it would take to like wake people up out of their slumber.
Well,
I really don't.
that brings up an interesting point. If somebody's watching this that thinks we're talking bollocks about all the figures and everything, where would you point? Where would you take somebody who says, "Yeah, you can't be right, Laura. It can't be that bad"? Where would you point them to?
Well, first of all, I would be using Google to do any research. I would be using a different search engine because Google is part of the problem. So you're going to get very censored information that comes up. And that is a really interesting question. And like it, because of the nature of what it is, you're never going to get this concrete number ever. You're just never going to get it because it's so fast growing. And like, how do you know? Like some of these kids are completely unregistered and they're just born and they're gone. How do you track that number? Do you know what I mean? So a lot of it is estimations, but there are some pretty good reliable sites on DuckDuckGo. And the thing that I do is like, I'm not going to say a specific website, is I go and look at one website and then I go and look at another website and then I go and look at another website and I see what consistencies are coming up and I see what discrepancies are coming up. And I generally go with the common numbers that are kind of, they don't have to be perfect because some are going to be a slightly different number, but people can get caught up in the details of this really easily. And this is what I remind everybody is like the details, like the tiny fractions of difference or the number here, number that doesn't matter. We know it exists because there's enough evidence out there collectively to show that it's existing. You've only got to go down a few rabbit holes to see that it exists. So don't get caught up in the details so much. Just know that it's a problem because
one's bad enough.
Pardon?
One's bad enough.
Yeah, exactly.
The numbers become irrelevant, really. Well, they're not irrelevant.
But... I mean, they're not irrelevant, but like my point is like I speak to a lot of people and it helps them feel safe stepping forward and talking about this if they feel they've got these concrete facts. Like, and I've been through it so many times in the recent weeks where it doesn't matter. You could go and research these numbers till you're blue in the face, and somebody will still come along and find a source that is opposing what you're saying. So that's always gonna exist. So you have to really dig deep in your own truth and do the research and maybe not be 100% on the exact numbers, but be 100% on the fact that it exists and it's a problem. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not about going after the little strands, it's about going after the head. And this is where we need to keep absolutely 100% focused because all this other information is going to come out. It's going to come out in the wash. Like we know it exists. We know it's a problem. There's enough evidence out there to show that it's a huge problem. Let's go after the head. Let's go after the head of this thing because everything else, as time goes on, is going to be uncovered. The truth is going to be exposed. They're all going to get what they deserve in terms of accountability, retribution, and the people that deserve justice are going to get it too. It's all going to happen. But right now, we need to not get distracted by he said, she said, like he said, she said, this source, because it just causes inaction. And like if you're waiting around for like a totally verifiable 100% source so that you feel confident in moving forward, you're going to be waiting forever. You are going to be waiting forever. Like you've got to use your intuition. Yeah, and you've got to use your intuition. Like there's enough question marks out there with what's happening that you just start going, doesn't add up. Doesn't make sense to me. Like it doesn't. Like why is this happening? Where's the money going for that? Why are they involved there? Where are these kids going? Why are there so many reports of this? Why are there so many reports of this that don't get justice? And that's what you have to look at as a collective. It's about how many people are stepping forward, sharing their experiences. And it's all the similar sort of stories, all involving the similar sort of people, you know, because that isn't just one person, that's collective evidence, you know, and that's the way it needs to be looked at. Like the law, especially these days, segregates everything. And really, like this can't be segregated because it's a nasty web altogether and people are going to be affected by different ways. But collectively, there's enough evidence, enough corroborative evidence to show, right, this is real, this thing exists, and we know that these key players and others are involved. So let's just go for that and everything else will come out as we move forward. Like, because we're just right at the start of it now. So I hope that answers your question, because that's how I do it. You know?
No, that's brilliant, and I can see why God chose you for this job, right? So you didn't have to do an interview or anything. You just there you are, brilliant. So, how can people get involved with this organisation? Because anybody that sees this that's going to connect with it will, you know, obviously look for you. But what can we do on a I mean, I think we've all got our gifts, and we all make an addition to it in whatever way that we can. Some people want to go marching on the street. Some people like me want to write a poem. Other people want to write songs. You know, how do we get involved? How do we, you know, what's your advice on that? Because you're not going to be able to, you're going to be overrun very, very quickly, right? Then you're going to need help.
Well, we're getting a lot of help. Luckily, like I've got some amazing people in our group. Like we're really, really big contributors. We're all involved, and we're really proud that we've made it that way. So I have got a lot of help. I'm always wanting more, obviously. So, but the best way to get involved with us directly is you can join our group, the Freedom for the Children UK group. So maybe we could leave a link or something on here.
Yeah.
In there, like we've designed it in such a way that it is a resource center. It is an action station. Like that group, I've not seen a group organized the way that I've organized it in any other group online, especially through this subject. And what I found in other groups is that you kind of go in and they don't really go anywhere, or the communication isn't very clear. So I purposely designed this so that everyone can go in there and they know exactly how they can take part. They know exactly how they can volunteer. They've got all the resources they need as well to do, say like they want to set up a rally. Perfect. We'll design your graphics for you. We'll promote it through the group. We'll help set it up. So it's just real training wheels for everybody to go and do what they want to do and feel supported and part of a community that wants that too. The other aspect of what we're doing. So the first thing is the group. Go in there. You've got information everywhere. It's so easily organised for you to go and empower yourself to do something. That's what I want. I don't want you relying on people like me and others to go and do this. I want you to have the tools to go and do it yourself, because this is a unified effort for a start. So it requires everybody taking action everywhere. Yeah. And the other aspect of what we're going to be moving into more is because we're well aware that the public rallies aren't for everybody. Yeah. There are some people who don't want to be in public, and I get that. They've got their own experiences, they've got their own stories, they need to look after their own safety. Some people want to be involved, but they're influential, so maybe they can't be seen to be in a public position like that just to begin with, you know. So we're going to be moving a lot of stuff more indoors, and we're going to be having much more close-knit groups of people, having community meetings where we're basically just going to go and find out what the local community needs, like who's suffering, who actually needs our support right now, and go and find out what it is they need and help get it to them. Basically just solution based, like, right, if these people haven't got money, if these people haven't got clothing, if this person's vulnerable, what can we do? How can we step in? Because one person, and also one person writing a letter to an MP doesn't really do much, but you get 50 people writing the same letter every day until he responds, gets a response that you need, you know. We're going to start holding these people accountable to taking action in the local areas, you know. We're really, really going to start putting our foot down to make sure that these people can't squirm out of doing stuff. They've actually got to support the people that need it. And just being these little covert operations, as I like to call them, where they're a bit more behind the scenes. They're full of action. Pardon?
Sort of a pincer attack with guerrilla warfare going on, so they can't escape.
So yeah, exactly right.
And then the back of it as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Because you've got a lot of groups as well that want to go big. They want to go national. They want the numbers. I get it. I totally get it. But then you've also got to look at the fact that actually doesn't change anything for some of these kids in care homes right now.
Right now, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not fucking around when I say they are dying. They are dropping like flies, and they are being hurt over and over again, you know. And when you start putting on that kind of warfare hat, like, this is what we need to be looking out for the people that are falling right now in this, and actually going and supporting them and giving them the resources they need, and just playing them at their own game. They want to start evading us, we're going to bring it to them. They're not going to evade us. They're not going to fucking ignore us, because we're going to play exactly by their game, and we're just going to insist and demand that things start to change on a local level. Because when you multiply that by 20 different locations, that is a huge effect. Yeah. And we're not waiting for the BBC or Sky News to deem us with a headline that might be bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not playing that game. I'm not putting all that effort into an outcome that they may never give us. And if they do give us it, they might be negative. So I'm not playing that game. I'm going local, because I know that local papers want the story. They want to hear about a local group of like mums and dads and people in the local committee that have gone, right, no, enough is enough. We're helping these kids. We're raising funds for these kids. We're going out, we're doing these things. We're holding people accountable. That's a local story. And if we keep doing that over and over and over again in these local places as well, like the BBC and Channel 4 and Sky News will have to start reporting it, and they're going to have to report it in a way that's not biased because it's being covered already. So how can they possibly go in and write a bullshit story about us when it's like, well, there's 20 other stories that are contradictory to that. So you're just exposing yourself further. So like, we're just trying to be really smart about it. So that's the other thing that we're doing. We're just wanting this double approach, like you say. So we've got the public setting for people that want to go and be loud. We want to, you know, join people to us. We want to unite people to us as well. This is what the public stuff is about. And then, you know, in behind closed doors, we start really solving some problems, and we start actually providing resources to the kids that need it right now.
So if I want to donate to this, how do I do it?
Yeah, so we have a GoFundMe page at the moment, so you can find that. I can give you the link to that as well. So you can put that on the bottom. Yeah, it's also in the group. So if you come and join the group, there's the link in there and stuff, and everything in there is set out for you. Like there's everything is set out. It's in the units. Is like my favorite way to address people in that group at the moment. Like, it's in the units, guys. It's all in the units.
Listen,
so yeah.
Look, I know you're really busy, and I really appreciate you taking the time for this. I can't tell you how much I'm glad you're there in the world doing this. And I think if enough of us start talking about it and keep talking about it, every little will chip into this, and we'll get them. We will get them.
Yeah, well, they're on the back foot. They're on the run. Like, and when you think about the consequences of not acting, like, when you start thinking about it that way as well, like there's no other alternative. Like, it's got to go down this way. Like we as a collective, especially in the movement that I'm leading, we're never going to stop, because stopping means accepting defeat, and also it means accepting a life for us and our children that will be unbearable. It will be unlivable. Like, it won't be worth living. Like, you know, that's how bad it's going to be.
Well, I said that to my kids the other day. I said, look, if we either go this way and we win, or we go that way, who wants to live in that world anyway?
No, we don't. There's no option. Like, you've got, I almost feel like I've got like this wall of spikes just ever so slightly up my arse all the time now. Like, it is like every time I put a little bit of the brakes on, or I just think I'll get some doubt, it's like these spikes just get me, and I'm like, well, I've got to go fucking forward now, haven't I?
Yeah, there's no choice.
Yeah, like, I've got to keep going forward. And like, it is like the alternative is so appalling.
Yeah,
it's not an option.
It's not an option.
It is not an option. Like, we will fight for this until the day we fucking die, if it means that we're going to get the future that we want for everyone else on this planet, because that's the only option. It's the only option that exists.
I totally agree with you, and I'm tingling listening to you. And I'm gonna send you my poem when by the weekend. I think I've written a poem about this.
Amazing.
Which you inspired, so that's why.
Thank you very much.
So just amazing, and you know, anybody watching this, get involved, spread the word, look into it yourself if you don't believe any of the figures. I'm sorry about the cat, Laura.
No, I loved it.
I'll keep her in. She's not been in a video before. And I'll let you get on with it. But thank you so much. And I look forward to meeting you one day.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much for your time, Mark. Thanks for inviting me on.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.